And this is a breaking news right now coming in from the FIFA World Cup, where this is a stunner. In fact, Saudi Arabia has beaten Argentina. This is a result that not many people would have expected, but that is something that we are now just learning of. The Saudis have stunned Argentina. They've stunned a lot of people who've been watching this match. And we'll try and see if we can get in our colleagues who have more insight into what really happened. But they've beaten Argentina here. And not many expected this kind of a result out of this entire game. Ankit, I'm told, is also joining us right now. Saleh and Salim, I think, Ankit, did, take a score each. And it's hard to believe that a result like this has happened. We are already calling this the first big upset of the FIFA. And I think the first image also up on our screens.
Deepthi, this is perhaps one of the biggest upsets in the history of the World Cup. In fact, we're working on an article in Republic World right now on where this ranks among the biggest upsets. But all the talk before the start of this Cup was about Argentina being one among the favorites, along with Brazil, along with possibly Germany and France. All the talk was about how this was Lionel Messi's last chance to win the World Cup, the greatest player perhaps of all time, playing in his last ever World Cup. But instead, what we've seen is Argentina taking the lead in the 10th minute through Messi from a penalty, then having a goal ruled out because of the virtual referee, and then Saudi Arabia coming from behind, 2 goals in 4 minutes in the second half, cementing a 2-1 lead that Argentina could just never recover from. They huffed and they puffed and they blew the house down, but they could not penetrate the Saudi Arabian goal. Saudi Arabia does have a record in World Cups, but nowhere like Argentina. Argentina is the winner of 2 World Cups, the loser of 2 finals, including the final in 2014. And this was supposed to be a chance for them to get really far in the tournament. Now, what happens next? It's very important. This is the first match of this group. Is Argentina looking at an early exit? It's too early to say because it's their opener. Also in this group are Mexico and Poland, who play next. But for the moment, Saudi Arabia has taken a lead in this group. It has defeated Argentina 2-1 in a shock come-from-behind victory. We are covering this large scale. No one would have expected this. It's been a barnstorming start to the World Cup. We've had results virtually in all the matches. There was a very entertaining 1-1 draw between America and the Welsh last night. But today there are 4 matches, and in the first one that we've seen today between Argentina and Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Arabians have won. So it is not only the first World Cup in the Middle East, but it is also perhaps the biggest achievement of a Middle Eastern or West Asian country in the World Cup so far. Argentina are on the brink, they're on the precipice. They're lucky in the way that they have a fairly easy group. Mexico and Poland should not present that much of a challenge, particularly with Argentina having the bit between their teeth and maybe wanting to make amends for this loss. But they went ahead in 10 minutes, everything was smooth sailing, but then 2 second half goals by Saudi Arabia have caused one of the biggest upsets in the history of the World Cup, Deepthi.
Oh, yes. And, Ankit, I'm just recalling what happened in the last World Cup. I think it was South Korea that had beaten Germany, and you have to give it to the team here. That is Saudi Arabia, for the skill and the desire, to have beaten the mighty Argentinians. You have to give it to them for that.
I've seen some huge upsets at World Cups. 20 years ago, we had South Korea embark on a giant killing run. They were hosts at that time. They had knocked Italy out. In that same World Cup, if I'm not mistaken, Saudi Arabia had lost 8-0 to Germany. That is from where they have started. In 2002 also, we had Senegal beating then holders France in the opening match. But this is something that perhaps is on the same level. It would be very interesting to see how this pans out for Argentina. And this is a great start, I would say, for the World Cup, because you always want that the biggest teams don't have smooth sailing the entire time. Of course, we'll have to see whether Argentina recovers from this. It would be perhaps the greatest anti-climax of Lionel Messi's career if it turns out that Argentina pop out at the group stage. But certainly, plaudits to Saudi Arabia. They've done very, very well. They've made now a strong case for them. If they win one more match, or even if they avoid loss in their next 2, they are sure to have that one spot out of the 2 for the knockout rounds, and they will have deserved to have been there. Their morale and their spirit will be sky high, and one can only imagine what this does for a country to achieve success in this manner. In the opening match, Deepthi, we saw the hosts Qatar go down 2-0 to another South American team, Ecuador. But in that case, 2-0 was thought of as a decent result for a team that doesn't often play at this stage against a team that is a regular. But Saudi Arabia beating Argentina is, in footballing terms, a giant killing of the highest order.
And these were underdogs, but it's sports, Ankit. And in sports, anything can happen because it's that moment. It's that moment that you're there. And I think you see a lot of disbelief and shock on the faces. We are playing out these images. I'm looking at a lot of stills on the social media. People are talking about this. They are saying that this needs to be fact-checked, whether an underdog has actually beaten Argentina.
No doubt. There were a lot of apprehensions about the World Cup before it began. There continued to be a number of controversies.
Yes.
But what we are seeing now is perhaps the reason why this tournament is so interesting from a sporting point of view, because this is a World Cup that you have to remember, it's never happened in the winter like this in November. Normally it's in June, but because you can't play winter, or you can't play in the summer in Qatar, they're playing it now. This is slap bang in the middle of the club season. All these players have reached Qatar just a week back. It takes time for an international team to gel. Maybe I'm just making excuses for Argentina, but certainly now they have an uphill struggle. If Lionel Messi wants that dream, he wants to equal what Maradona did for the Argentinians, then he will have to really take the bit between his teeth and he will have to drive his team upwards. He'll have to get them back from this result. There is plenty of precedent of people single-handedly achieving this kind of success, dragging their teams. He has a good team with him. But certainly, he has an uphill battle on his hand now, Deepthi.
Oh yes, so have we just seen one of the biggest ever upsets in World Cup history? I'll let our viewers decide that. A lot of them are in shock, like I said. But we are at Republic, remember, are tracking that game and every such story that you need to know. Ankit, thank you so much for getting us all that insight and helping us understand what really happened in the field as we quickly head into a break right now. But as always, remember, a lot also going up on republicworld.com, especially when it comes to our entire coverage of the FIFA World Cup.